folks, the roster mania madness only begins to continue as we pivot from Minnesota Rocker, now obviously here toward the Atlanta Faze, as the Atlanta Faze have officially announced that they are picking up Arcitys coming into Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Oh boy. And to give a quick little update in terms of how we've kind of gotten to this point, the Minnesota Rocker just announced that they had picked up Priesta and Major Maniac. Those guys previously were on the Atlanta Faze. Atlanta Faze had made it known that those players are free agents. And in terms of the Atlanta Faze roster, that leaves up one spot. Chicago Huntsmen a few days ago had made it known that the Twins are officially free agents as well. Arcitys and Prestini are fair to go their kind of own way. So, Arcitys, Atlanta Faze, my goodness, folks. This has been a move that's been kind of in the rumors for a while. It's been kind of made known that this very well could be a team coming into the next year. And it is scary. And the reason for why it is scary is because we've already seen 3/4 of this team previously. And what happened when they all teamed together? A world championship came about it, right? Simp, Abezy, Arcitys were a part of that eUnited team back in 2019 when they won the world championship under, eUnited with Clayster and alongside Prestini as well. And I have to say that this team moving forward is terrifying. It's probably one of the scariest teams that we are going to have in the CDL moving forward into next year. And I will say one thing that did worry me when the rumors were coming out about the Atlanta Faze was that guys like Priesta, guys like Major Maniac, losing those two kind of worried me a little bit for the future, because my interpretation was, granted, you lose those guys. Major Maniac was probably the first one on the chop block. I thought that it would kind of be this mix back and forth of, do you keep someone like Priesta? Do you keep someone like Celium? Obviously, they roll with Celium for the future. Makes sense. But I feel like you lost a lot, and I feel like you lost a lot in terms of the voice that someone like Major Maniac can provide for this team. It was talked on constantly when this roster formed. He's the in-game leader. He makes a lot of the decisions for us, and he's obviously not the only voice. My worry was that when you kind of move forward with this kind of core three, this core young group of players who all have unbelievable talent, you need somebody to complement that, right? That's why I believe that, teams like the Dallas Empire work so well. And when they won the world championship the year prior, someone like Clayster was there to work along. Like, you just have this kind of good cohesive unit in terms of a veteran in comparison with some young guys. And obviously Arcitys is still young. He's not, 26, 27, 28 years old by any means. But the thing that fixes my worry about the Atlanta Faze is that they have that voice again, right? They have a voice. Arcitys is one of my favorite players in the CDL, and especially for his role in the Chicago Huntsmen, because he is willing to give his opinion. He is a grinder like the other players on the Atlanta Faze, and that is what is terrifying for the rest of the CDL, is because I think that he was the perfect choice for the players that they decided to get rid of. He was the perfect choice for this team to grab moving on into next year. And I will say, Chicago Huntsmen, they lose a phenomenal player and someone like Arcitys. And I get the decisions for why every team is kind of going the way that they are, but still, you lose a flex in Arcitys, somebody who wants to run the main AR role. He gets to do that now with this team. A guy who I don't think really meshed well with the Chicago Huntsmen vibe. Obviously, it's a team that kind of has more of a laid-back style. I think Arcitys is a guy who just wants to work. He wants to kind of get in there. We saw him make a number of different comments kind of throughout the year in terms of practice regimen, how, players wanted to stream scrims. That's kind of not his role. That's the same way that the Atlanta Faze work, man. And that's why I am very interested to see this roster kind of moving forward, because I think that the issues are solved. I think that in a number of different ways, he matches the same personality type as all of these guys. And again, you're adding a player who was severely underrated in Modern Warfare, a guy who wanted to run the main AR, but obviously with Formal, the way that Modern Warfare worked, had to run the flex, ran it very, very well, despite having not a ton of SMG history, ran the role very well, was, like I said, great in terms of the in-game leadership that he provided for the Huntsmen at different moments. And I just feel like in general, he complements this team in a way that I think is going to make every roster very, very nervous kind of moving forward. So I know we've talked about a number of different teams, but the Atlanta Faze for me, this was the perfect fit. And I think that it is going to be a perfect fit moving forward. I don't think that we have a whole lot of roster struggles with this team. I think there is a potential to see some in-game problems from time to time when we talk about just internal issues in terms of arguments. I think that can affect every team. I think that has the ability to affect this team as well. But I think when you have this core four, I think when you have these pieces, guys who have already won with each other, guys who have experience with each other, I think this is exactly what you want for the future. And again, when we talk about 4v4, we haven't really had the ability to see someone like Celium in a 4v4 environment. We haven't got a chance to see Simp in a 4v4 environment. And I say that at the highest level of competition, but I don't think that hurts them. Right? I don't think that hurts them kind of looking forward, because a lot of people are under this impression that, guys who like to play fast, well, they're going to get more kills. Doesn't always work that way, right? And I think when it comes down to positioning and in terms of the amount of crucial 1v1 gunfights that happen in a situation like 4v4 is, it's terrifying, because all of these guys I trust to win those 9 times out of 10. So again, the Atlanta Faze roster to start the season was terrifying. I had a number of different people who would message me and say, man, I don't know if they're going to lose a series for the rest of the year. That's the way they started off Modern Warfare, and with how much of a grinder type of team that they are, I think that this is a great mix for them, because Arcitys works that exact same way. He is a grinder. He wants to put his head down. He wants to learn the game as much as possible. So I think that is great for them. And then you are also now kind of looking at the future of the title, the things that they struggled with, right? In terms of in-game problems, little strategies here and there. The reason why the Dallas Empire kind of had beaten this team badly to kind of close out the season, I think a lot of that was kind of due to the overall strategy and the knowledge that the Empire had, the amount of work that they had out of game that helped lead to that result. And I think Arcitys can be a voice similar to that will thus in turn help the Atlanta Faze out, because there is no doubt the skill that exists on this team. And I think maybe mixed in with some leadership here and there, I think mixed in with someone like Arcitys, who I think can help this team in a number of different ways, not just skill-wise, it is scary. So again, Arcitys on the main AR, we got Celium with the flex, the tiny terrors now with the SMGs. This is one of the scariest teams, and I think this is a perfect fit for the Atlanta Faze, the best option that they could have got based on the roster changes that they made. I think they lose some key players, but I think kind of in retrospect, I think you got one that kind of justifies the overall decision behind the roster change. So again, Atlanta Faze, I am probably more intrigued about this team than any other, despite it being a one-player change. We have a lot of teams that are making, major changes in terms of their entire roster, kind of getting rid of the entire thing. I think this team for me is the one that's going to have one of the biggest spotlights on it moving forward. And again, the eUnited team back from 2019 is always talked about, considering the fact that they were all kind of involved in the Final Four in terms of champs. How much success all of them saw in Modern Warfare, as they were all kind of mixed up in terms of the top 3 teams. So again, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And I think kind of getting to revisit at least 3/5 of that eUnited 2019 champs team is going to be a blast. So very scary roster, one that I cannot wait to see, and one that I think is definitely going to terrorize the rest of the CDL.